There's been a huge shakeup in Texas. And if you're a woman owned or minority owned construction business, you probably felt the ground move under your feet this week. The state of Texas just removed thousands of businesses from the HUB program overnight. And if you were counting on that designation to win state or local work, that door just slammed shut. But here's the part nobody's talking about. This might actually be the biggest opportunity you've ever had to break into federal construction. Let me explain what I mean. The HUB program in Texas used to certify women owned firms, minority owned firms, all sorts of disadvantaged companies. That has now been wiped away. Texas rebranded the entire program to focus solely on service disabled, veteran owned businesses. And if you didn't fall into that category, you were removed. Thousands of companies lost their certification instantly. So now you've got thousands of construction companies waking up with no hub status, no visibility in the state procurement system, no preference, no advantage, and they're panicking because that's what happens when a program you depend on gets taken away overnight. But here's where this gets interesting. These companies only had one path before: state work. Now that path is blocked, which means a huge percentage of them are about to look toward the federal market. And the truth is, most of them don't know what they're doing when it comes to federal work. They don't understand FAR. They don't understand paperwork. They don't understand schedules, pay apps, delays, documentation, request for equitable adjustments, or how to navigate opportunity selection. And that creates a very real opportunity for companies who are prepared. Think about it. When a whole crowd suddenly rushes toward the federal space, the ones who understand the rules are the ones who survive the transition. The rest burn out, underpriced jobs, miss critical paperwork, and find themselves in trouble fast. You've seen this happen before. Every time a state program changes, the companies who were surviving off preference-based awards go looking for the federal world, and they get crushed because the federal world doesn't care about preference. The federal world cares about performance, documentation, timelines, compliance, and systems. And this shift in Texas is about to push a lot of unprepared companies into a space where the disciplined contractors win. Let me tell you something else. When thousands of companies suddenly lose access to state work, many of them will start bidding federal jobs out of desperation. And desperation leads to mistakes, bad numbers, rushed proposals, weak scopes, missed details. Federal agencies notice this, and when they see chaos in the market, they gravitate toward reliability, toward companies with systems, toward companies that communicate clearly and document properly and understand the structure of federal work. This is where you can shine. Another thing most people don't realize is that when a big change like this happens in a state program, subcontractor markets get disrupted too. Subs who relied on hub-driven prime contractors are suddenly floating around without as much work. Prices shift, availability shifts, demand shifts, and the contractors who know how to build federal proposals and federal pricing models are the ones who benefit from that instability, is because they know how to turn a moving market into opportunity. And I want you to think about something else. If you're a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business in Texas and you just lost your hub status, you actually have a huge advantage you didn't have before. The federal government still recognizes women-owned businesses. The federal government still recognizes minority-owned businesses in very real, very powerful ways. And not only that, the federal government is actively seeking these businesses. They have entire goals tied to working with small, disadvantaged companies. So while the state of Texas may have closed a door, the federal government still has a huge door wide open. And the federal side doesn't care what Texas changed. The federal side plays by federal rules, and federal rules still work in your favor. This is why now is the moment to shift, because you're not competing with 1,000 prepared federal contractors. You're competing with 1,000 confused and unprepared businesses who just lost the only advantage they ever had. You come into the federal market with clarity, discipline, documentation, and systems, and you're going to outperform them. It's not even close. Now, of course, you can't just decide to get federal work. You need systems. Systems for finding opportunities, systems for qualifying opportunities, systems for bidding, systems for reading scopes, systems for pricing, systems for writing, systems for reviewing, systems for keeping yourself consistent. Because if you try to jump into federal work without systems, you're going to feel exactly what these displaced businesses feel right now: panic, confusion, overwhelm. But if you have systems, you gain control. You become reliable. You show agencies you know what you're doing, and that is how you win. So if you're a woman-owned business or a minority-owned business, or honestly any business in Texas that was just removed from the HUB program, this is your moment. You can either try to fight for a shrinking slice of state contracts, or you can move into the federal world where there is more work, more stability, and more opportunity for companies that know how to operate professionally. If you want help navigating this shift, if you want help building the systems you need, if you want clarity on how to bid federal jobs the right way, you can schedule a Zoom with me. Just go to GCExperts.com/Zoom. We'll go through where you are, what you're trying to do, what your capabilities are, and exactly how to position your company in the federal world now that Texas has changed the landscape. Again, that link is GCExperts.com/Zoom. I'll see you in the next one.